Good evening everybody! Today we'll take an extensive look at Buckethead's glorious collection of electric guitars, acoustics and bass, covering a span of over 3 decades. We'll find out what he used, when he used them, who he used them with, and what the hell happened to them. So, let's begin. Woo! Buckethead has stated that he began playing guitar at age 12 in 1981, and whilst he no doubt had an array of guitars at the time, his first visually documented guitar is the Kramer. Which shouldn't come as a surprise, because if you were flicking through guitar magazines in the 1980s and saw this guy with a Kramer, well, you probably would have bought one too. Yep, if Edward Van Halen says it was the best guitar you can buy today, then it probably was. Buckethead can be seen using the guitar in February '89 during his Secret Recipe DVD and during his Deli Creep shows from late '89 to '91, customizing it with an orange sticker with skull on and an NFL Pittsburgh Steelers logo. He can also be seen holding the Kramer in the now famous December '89 issue of Guitar Player magazine. And speaking of pre-bucket Buckethead, there's also footage of a certain someone using a certain Kramer in 1988. Let's never speak of this footage again. Buckethead almost certainly used this modified Kramer in October of '88 when recording his first full-length demo cassettes, which would later be released in 2008 as From the Coop. Whilst touring as the Deli Creeps in 1991, Buckethead phased out the use of his Kramer guitar for his new Midnight Blue Heartfield Talon II, which was first manufactured in December 1990 for the bargain price of $929.99. And just like his Kramer guitar, Buckethead would customize his Talon II, replacing the regular DiMarzio pickups with pink ones. Buckethead can be seen using the Talon II on the Young Buckethead DVD, notably with the Deli Creeps and during his backyard solo, where he played the song I Love My Parents for the first time in front of his family.
I like the idea of just wrapping somebody up with barbed wire.
That same year, Buckethead made a guest appearance on the album Hope You Like Our New Direction by musician Henry Kaiser. When speaking about Buckethead, who was credited on the album as Brian Buckethead Carroll, Henry Kaiser said, "I'm sure he'll be mega famous in a few years." Fuck yeah. Henry Kaiser was so taken by Buckethead's guitar superpowers that he gave Buckethead a special gift, a custom Steinberger GS guitar, now commonly known as Kaiser's gift. Whilst there seems to be no actual footage of Buckethead performing with the guitar, it can be seen on the back cover and booklet of the 1992 classic album Transmutation, and can also be seen in clips from his Secret Recipe DVD. It was also later used in 2002 promotional shots for his Bermuda Triangle album. That same year in August, Buckethead's website held a contest where the winner would receive the Steinberger GS guitar. The winner of the contest can be seen using the guitar on the now defunct YouTube channel Orion Genocide. After Kaiser's gift, Buckethead's guitar of choice, according to a June 1994 article in Guitar Player magazine, was a skull-emblazoned ESP Strat. Buckethead appears with the guitar in the Binge Clips VHS footage alongside Bill Chop Top Mosley. And whether Buckethead knew it or not, the Skulls ESP was used in the same time period by guitarist Michael Wilton of the band Queensryche. So much so that ESP would eventually make a Michael Wilton signature series in 2004. Buckethead can also be seen with the Skulls ESP doing a guest spot for Bill Laswell's band Painkiller in 1993. Also in 1993, Buckethead could be seen using this unidentified emerald green guitar, which as far as I'm aware he's never played live. So what guitar is it? The shape and two dots on the 24th fret look somewhat like an Ibanez. The truss rod on the headstock looks like the exclusive ones that Gibson uses, although the body is far from a Gibson. And ESP almost always have the ESP logo on the 12th fret, which this guitar doesn't. In the early 2000s, Buckethead's website listed him as owning a Parkerfly guitar, which looks similar, although the Parkerfly never had the dots on the fretboard unless Buckethead customized it. So is this one of the models mentioned or something else? From 1994 to late 95, Buckethead seemingly replaced his Skulls ESP with a plain black ESP. However, upon closer inspection, it appears that he just scrubbed or bleached the skulls off the ESP, possibly realizing that it was also being used by a fellow musician. Towards the end of 1995, Buckethead would begin to use one of his most beloved guitars, the Ibanez X Series Rocket Roll 550. He used the Rocket Roll on and off from late 95 to 1999 and can be seen with the guitar during Q*bert's and Primus's DVDs and extensively during his 97-98 live shows.
This kind of guitar, you can't help but come up with things like that. So,
Mr. Gilbert, I couldn't agree more. In 1996, Buckethead could be seen using a white Strat in the Bootsy Collins video If 6 Was 9, which Buckethead also performs on. Originally written by Jimi Hendrix, Buckethead is paying tribute to Hendrix by using a left-handed Strat upside down, because Hendrix famously used a regular right-handed Strat upside down. You know? And while Buckethead never used the white Strat from If 6 Was 9, he did use a Sunburst Strat for a handful of shows in mid-1997. Also in 1997, Buckethead used an Angus Young style Gibson SG, which, just like the Sunburst Strat, was short-lived, possibly only used for one show, of which there is seemingly no footage, only audio. 1996, Buckethead debuted his purple ESP MV, using it for deli creep shows and some spectacular giant robot shows. Unfortunately, the purple ESP MV was short-lived, only lasting around 4 months, and that was not by choice. In April of 1996, Buckethead made a 2-night guest appearance for the aforementioned Henry Kaiser and guitarist Mike Keneally. According to Keneally, backstage on the second night, Buckethead was showing off his ESP MV, saying how he was excited about using the guitar on an upcoming project with the late great Sean Lane. And then, later that night,
Could you start the DAT machine, please?
Oh, Buck, you broke it!
Yep, Buckethead broke the headstock off his new guitar. Fuck. According to Keneally, Buckethead was inconsolable backstage, slowly shaking his head and saying no, no, over and over. Poor Buckethead. And in an ironic twist of fate, the name of the band that Henry Kaiser and Mike Keneally performed under that night was called The Mistakes. Mistakes indeed.
Oh, Buck, you broke it!
Shortly after breaking his guitar, Buckethead replaced his ESP MV with a similar looking ESP M2, using it throughout the remainder of 1996 and 1997. In 1998, just like many of his previous guitars, Buckethead modified his ESP M2, adding stickers, tags and coloured pickups, turning the ESP M2 into the epic ESP Air Jordan. The Air Jordan would become one of Buckethead's most recognisable guitars, and in the mid-2000s was given to the Hard Rock Cafe in Hollywood, Florida. As of 2018, the guitar was still at the Hard Rock, however the resort was recently remodeled into a guitar-shaped hotel and casino, so hopefully Buckethead's Air Jordan still remains. In January of 1999, Buckethead performed a handful of shows with the band Benoit, whose excellent album Devil Dub Buckethead performs on. During the shows, Buckethead used what appears to be a green Strat, which he never used again. In mid-1999, Buckethead began using the gloriously looking Jackson Coopwood Y2KV, using it throughout his '99 tour with Primus, notably during the Ozfest Festival.
Who's this guitar playing, sons of it?
He also used it for the Ballad of Buckethead music video, as well as on the front cover and promotional material for his classic album Monsters and Robots. The Jackson Coopwood also appears to be the first guitar that Buckethead had the now famous Killswitch installed. Before this, Buckethead would often toggle the on-off switch to get the now distinct sound. Just like the Air Jordan ESP, the Coopwood guitar was given to a Hard Rock Cafe in Palm Springs, California in the mid-2000s. Then in 2018, that same Hard Rock Cafe shut down and was replaced by the Hotel Zozo. So whether Hard Rock moved the guitar to another venue or Zozzo bought it is sadly unknown. To go along with his Jackson Coopwood, Buckethead also had a custom Jackson Doubleneck made, half bass, half guitar. He can be seen using the Doubleneck one time during a December 2000 show with Faith No More's Mike Patton. 16 years later, in March 2016, the Doubleneck was put up for sale by Buckethead for $16,500. It's unclear whether the guitar actually sold, as nobody has ever claimed it, so more than likely it's still in the possession of its master. Another Jackson that Buckethead acquired in 1999 was the iconic looking Jackson KV2 Kfc Custom. Buckethead used the Kfc Custom extensively from 2000 to 2002, including reunion shows with Maximum Bob, solo shows, Bonnaroo with Les Claypool, and of course the majority of his shows with Guns N' Roses. Buckethead producer Travis Dickerson has stated that the Kfc and Coopwood guitars were used during recording, including on both Cobra Strike and Chicken Noodle's albums. Travis also stated that Buckethead used his brother's 1969 Les Paul and his Black Telecaster during recording. As well as using the Kfc guitar during his Guns N' Roses stint, Buckethead also used a Yamaha AES920 for a number of GNR shows. There's also this photo which appears to show Buckethead using the Yamaha backstage during the GNR days. Where the photo is from I don't know and could only trace it back to 2007. So if anyone knows, let us know. Another rarely used guitar that Buckethead broke out during his GNR days was the Sunburst Les Paul with no fret markings, used during GNR's appearance at the 2002 VMA Awards, 3 days after I'd seen Buckethead live for the first time in London. Buckethead's website has also previously stated that he owns a 1959 Les Paul Custom which he used on several Bill Laswell projects. On January 1st, 2001, during the new Guns N' Roses first show, Buckethead debuted what would be a familiar sight for years to come, a white Gibson Les Paul. Buckethead would use this guitar almost exclusively right up to 2009, replacing it occasionally in 2008 with a black headstock model with 2 square kill switches. Then in November 2009, Gibson released their 27-inch scale Buckethead Les Paul Signature Series, complete with red arcade style kill switches. Fucking glorious. Buckethead would use the Signature Series guitar on tour up until 2012. In June 2011, Gibson also released the Buckethead Les Paul studio guitar, which Buckethead has used on tour from 2016 to the present. The majority of people who have tested and compared the two guitars seem to agree that other than the neck colour and price difference, they pretty much sound the same. Of all of his guitars, the Gibson Les Paul has been used for the longest time period, and it's almost certain that he used it to record the majority of his albums from the early 2000s to the present. Next up is Buckethead's acoustic guitars, and because acoustics just aren't as cool as electric, I'm gonna give these a brief overview. His 90s acoustic of choice was the Gibson Chet Atkins with nylon strings. He used this on tour in the late 90s and more than likely used it to record his classic album Kramer. He also used this model in the late 2000s for several shows. Buckethead also used a Takamine EAN40C, which he purchased while on tour in Japan in early 1999. There's the Crafter D8 that Buckethead used as practice for sets, which was auctioned off for $1,700 after his 2008 tour. There's also the Yamaha CPX Compass series, which he used on tour in 2005 and famously used in the Guitar One Lesson DVD. And then there's Buckethead's bass guitars, which there's really only one worth mentioning, the 1996 Vigier XS. Buckethead has used this bass for well over a decade, starting in the late 1990s. He even has the same piece of tape stuck on the body. Excellent. And last but not least, now and then Buckethead has been known to rock the banjo, playing it during live shows and releasing the somewhat haunting banjo album Spinal. And because banjo is not my forte, if you know any of the banjos he's used or can read what the hell this brand name is, then feel free to list them below. So, as you've seen in this video, Buckethead has used a vast amount of guitars throughout his illustrious career. So, which guitar is your personal favourite? For me, I'm gonna have to go with the obvious, the KFC KV2.